Shout out, guys, to the Reverend Ed Trevors. Morning, Reverend. And to Bo, the fifth column. Morning, Bo. 8:19 in the morning, West Coast time, July 3rd, 2024. Gentlemen, we need to talk. I'm going to send this one out. Probably it'll be a long one, or short one. I know in a few minutes the good Reverend's going to be doing his live cast, and I want to catch that one. But regarding to Bo, what you've been saying, you really don't give enough depth and detail on what you're talking about. Or where are you getting these quotes from? Don't even list your links, anything else regarding the sources. You just don't get into it, dude. You're talking about the first rule of command. Nobody knows what you're talking about unless they've been in the military or in a position of authority. Everybody else who follows you probably have never been in that kind of situation before, so they wouldn't know that you were quoting Douglas MacArthur. Yeah, it took me some research on this one. You must have been doing a Google search and found something from, say, not from the Military Code of Justice or anything else like that. Did you happen to pick up from Socratic-method.com? Douglas MacArthur never give an order that can't be obeyed? Didn't think so. Probably picked up on the first thing that you saw, which was from everything2.com. If I don't recognize the link, if I don't recognize where that's coming from, I have to go through other sources. Now, being a good researcher, as I try to be when I'm going through college, I have to check and double check the sources just to make sure that they're going to be legitimate, because otherwise, down the road, they will bite me in the ass. And there goes my street creds right there. Every time there's a student doing a report, it doesn't matter if the student is about a teenager all the way through an adult, even an old fart like me, still has to have street creds, which means we do the homework, we do the research, and we provide the results and the links where we've got the information from. It's usually called a bibliography or works cited, though, one of those two. So sometimes I have to ask, would it be possible? Would it go out of your way to put information in the description where you got your stuff from? Because you're sometimes talking the head out of your ass at that point. But you were trying to make good points regarding how the Supreme Court of the United States is messing with our heads at this point because they're making it complicated as hell. We're dealing with a conservative that wants to salvage and save Donald Trump. Plain and simple. And make it possible for him and his ilk to stay in power. It's that simple. And they're going to be making it difficult for everybody. And the only way to get around that rule is to have, I hate to say it, but the conservative minor instead of being a major portion of the Supreme Court, which means it's going to take a liberal president, hopefully, to appoint judges, and hopefully there'll be court cases coming through the pipeline in order to overrule that decision. And it's going to take some time. We're going to have to live with this. We're going to have to deal with that kind of situation. It's not the easiest or fun thing to go through, but we're going to have to go through this thing. And yes, to the general public, we have to vote. There can be no slackers. It's not just two old guys. It's for democracy, and you haven't put the finger of God or pushed the fear into them yet, or we have to scare the living crap out of them to the point where they're so numb they don't know what to do at this point. They're like deers in headlights again, or else they're just saying until they get run over by the truck. That's what we're looking at, boys and girls. That's what we're looking at. We see the lights coming. We're like, they'll stop. They'll stop. They'll stop. They'll stop. They'll wham! They didn't stop! No, they didn't. And you're lying on the ground wondering how come you got crushed to death by a damn truck. Never give an order that can't be obeyed. Well, according to Douglas MacArthur, but you can give an order at this point over here, but it'll still not be obeyed or obeyed, depending on the situation, and depending upon if the personality deems it worthy of them. I can yell and scream and give orders to people left and right, but I seriously doubt they're going to follow me. That's just the way it is. And in talking about President Biden, he has to have staff around him that he can trust and have faith in. Yes. No, yes, man. I mean, at that point, we do agree. You have to have people surrounding you that know the situation and have already analyzed it. And you're going to trust their opinion and their judgment. And then you'll have to decide whether or not, if the actions were going to be justified or not. And then you have to stick with it, no matter what. Trump doesn't care. He's only out for himself. He's an egomaniac. He doesn't care about anybody. I've heard too many of the independents out there, and I've heard too many of the corporate media just going back and forth at each other. It's like a piranha fest. Put a little blood in the water, and then watch everything else go hell in a handbasket. Oh, thank you. And there are people that we can try to give us at least a brief overview, and that's all Bo get from you all the time is just overview. You expect people to do the research. Do you also expect people to tear your ass apart critically in your comments and in your videos? Hey, this is part of America, babe. Deal with it. This is advanced citizenship. You're going to be supporting the rule of law? You want to support advanced citizenship in the United States of America? Then you've got an opinion and I've got an opinion, and we're going to be going loggerheads. But the thing is, we got to respect the one right that we actually have. We have the freedom to disagree. We have the freedom to look for the gray area. But if we're going to get so polarized in this situation, advanced citizenship doesn't work. It doesn't work. I have said many times, about this movie quote of the American president. Shall we do this one more time on you guys? We'll put you on pause while I research. I'm really going to have to put this one in the links. Okay, this is from American Rhetoric Movie Speeches website, or AmericanRhetoric.com. And this is from the last portion of The American President 1995, where you have President Andrew Shepard doing the press conference on the Bob Runson and crime bill. Here we go again. I've done this thing many times, but I still like it anyway. I got to get a PDF on this one. I got to hold on to this one because this is important to me. Because this tells me a lot more than what the other people have been saying left and right. You got to love writers on this one. You have to love writers. They'll hold on to the information necessary in their heads and also in their notes for the things that mean the most to us. So, shall we do the whole thing? Reporter: Robin, will the president ever respond to Senator Rumson's question about being a member of the American Civil Liberties Union? President Shepard: yes, he will. Good morning. Members of the House press corps begin to rise. It's all right. Keep your seats. Good morning. For the last couple of months, Senator Rumson has suggested that being president of this country was, to a certain extent, about character. And although I have not been willing to engage in his attacks on me, I have been here for 3 years and 3 days, and I can tell you without hesitation, being president of this country is entirely about character. For the record, yes, I am a card-carrying member of the ACLU. But the more important question is, why aren't you, Bob? Now, this is an organization whose sole purpose is to defend the Bill of Rights. So naturally begs the question, why would a senator, his party's most powerful spokesman, and a candidate for the president, chose to reject upholding the Constitution? Now, if you can answer that question, folks, you're smarter than I am because I don't understand it until a few hours ago. Sorry, my dog needs me. Get, Mama, come here. Get. Stressed out dog. I gotta love her though. America isn't easy. America is advanced citizenship. You gotta want it bad because it's going to put up a fight. It's going to say, you want free speech? Let's see you acknowledge a man whose words make your blood boil, who's standing center stage and advocating at the top of his lungs that which you spend a lifetime opposing at the top of yours. You want to claim this land as the land of the free? Then the symbol of your country cannot just be a flag. The symbol also has to be one of the citizens exercising his right to burn that flag in protest. Now, show me that, defend that, celebrate that in your classrooms. Then you can stand up and sing about the land of the free. Yeah, sorry about the interruption. My dog was eating me at that point. I have known Bob Rumson for years, and I've been operating under the assumption that the reason Bob devotes so much time and energy to the shouting at the rain was that he simply didn't get it. Well, I was wrong. Bob's problem isn't he doesn't get it. Bob's problem is he can't sell it. We have a serious problem to solve, and we need serious people to solve them. And whatever your particular problem is, I promise you, Bob Rumson is not the least bit of interest in solving it. He's interested in two things, and two things only. One, make you afraid of it, and telling you who's to blame for it. Hint, hint. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you win elections. You gather a group of middle-aged, middle-class, middle-income voters who remember with longing an easier time, and you talk to them about family and American values and character, and you wave an old photo at the president's girlfriend, and you scream about patriotism. You tell her she's to blame for their lot in life, and you go on television and you call her, I'm not calling that word out, all right? So, he talks about Sidney Allen in the next paragraph over here. But basically, what he's saying is, nearly at the last paragraph we've got on this one here. We got serious problems and we need serious people. And if you want to talk about character, Bob, you better come at me with more than a burning flag and a membership card. If you want to talk about character and American values, fine. Just tell me where and when, I'll show up. This is a time for serious people, Bob, and your 15 minutes are up. I didn't want to go over the personal situations over here about the person that they were talking about. It just wasn't. But you get part of this. Oh, Lord, she's at it again. 1 second, guys. If you guys are animal lovers and probably have a senior citizen to deal with, then you'll understand they require a lot of attention from you. SCOTUS does scare at times. They have made some decisions because of judiciary review. What was it, Marbury versus Madison? First court case, which extended the Supreme Court's power of them making law. Normally they're supposed to be advising and interpreting how the Constitution, physically and spiritually, applies towards the cases. But at other times, while they're making those kind of rulings, they're also making law because they will change the concepts of what we have. So, it's going to take a while to sort it out. There's going to be a lot of things happening. But I also wanted to mention about the American president because I never realized what kind of a landmark movie this was to me. And trying to question what American values is, what it means to be an American. Those lines that I've mentioned, they're super important. They are super important. And in reading this over and over again, This is something that matters to me a great deal because we think we know what America is. We think we have a feeling for it. And the problem is, we don't. We can teach it in American civics classes, political science classes, history classes. But sometimes you have to have other opinions outside to look at what America is supposed to be. And not just coming from the immigrants coming in here, but how we view it. And not just colored with "Make America Great Again" speeches. That's not it. That's not it. That, what I mentioned, is what to me makes American. I had put out a video trying to explain this, to understand what it means to be American, what it means to celebrate 248 years of this country's existence, turbulent history and all. Which country hasn't had a turbulent history? Which country actually had zero opposition and just a formation and no issues at all? I don't know of any country that ever existed like that. I never heard of a country like that on Earth. Maybe somewhere else out in space, but not out here. But this is what it means. But I don't think you have people who worship one guy a great deal, thinks he's going to solve all the problems. To me, he's the Bob Rumson. And Bo, if you're going to be selling this, sell it. You got to push it, dude. You just can't be laid back about this one. You have to get into her face on some occasions. Saying, look, you want your country, you want the American values, then you got to start exploring what the core values mean to each and every one of us. If you need to read about it, the libraries are there. You can read about the history, the historical quotes. I know the internet's out there, but a physical book right in your hands. A physical book. There are some books out there that won't get it. They like subject, they like slavery, they want abdication of freedom and everything else. They want to make sure that there's enough hate around there to go, you know, spread their crap around to people left and right. A book that you'll hardly ever see out there is coming from an Austrian twerp who managed to terrorize Europe with the power of Germany. I thought he was German. He's Austrian. With a little short mustache. And a guy with a very much gravitas as a certain gas bag who used to be the 45th president of the United States. Firing people up with fiery speeches and telling them what you have to do. Making fun of other people and pointing fingers at them. And having everybody laugh. They think it's a joke. If he's trying to be funny and trying to be populist, he's also stirring to people who have got that much anger and hatred inside of them. There is another thing concerning about hatred. There was a song that I heard from Andy Badamkin, who was singing this thing a long time ago. You got to be carefully. I got to get that one pulled up here. Give me a second, guys. There it is. I know there's links. I know there's links about this one. And the song that was created by Rodgers and Hammerstein. And the lyrics for this one. I remember seeing this on PBS when Mandy Bitkamkin was doing this one. And no, I don't want to sign up for that thing, but I want the lyrics. I know he went out Just black shirt, black pants, and he's going, ha! Caught everyone else's attention on this one. You got to be taught to hate and fear. You got to be taught from year to year. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. You got to be carefully taught. Well, so much for my damn rhythm anyway. You got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made and people whose skin is differently shade. You got to be carefully taught. You got to be taught before it's too late. Before you're 6 or 7 or 8. To hate only people your relatives hate. You got to be carefully taught. You got to be carefully taught. Way overboard? Theatrical? Good. I was cheated before, and I'm cheated again by a little mean world of little mean men. And what a little chance for me is the life I know best. To be on an island and to hell with the rest. I will cling to this island like a tree on a stone. I will cling to this island and be free and alone. Of course, I could do it without the emphasis on it, But this is what we've got. This is what's happening to us with our polarization right now. It doesn't matter if we're liberal or conservative or in between. We're still listening to this one. Rogers and Hammerstein was doing it for a play. He was also doing it for a film. He was telling us about the human condition one way or another. In a different way, but we pick things up from writers, from creators all over the place who tell us about human behavior and about humanity. And Bo, you got to be expressing this damn thing anyway. Otherwise, it's going to be my job to overrule you half the time. I may have to get myself a personalized SCOTUS rule to overrule you. Because they have to be carefully taught. Of course, I can go overboard on that one there, too. I can become a Trumplicant. No, I can't be a Trumplicant. If I'm going to be a Trumplicant at a point over here, I got to have all the maggot crap going on. No, I'll think I'll be committing something far worse than that. And God will be scratching his head saying, you're not supposed to be up here, and what the hell is all that red crap on you? Don't you understand? I'm trying to make America great again. I couldn't stand it, so I had to get up here to show you about it. I wouldn't put it past a few people to actually try to sell that one to God after they died. I wouldn't put it past them. They got sick and tired of maggot or just did something while they were maggot and then try to convince God that America was great again. And he's shaking his head, having his hand in his hand saying, what the hell did I do wrong? I wouldn't blame him for the stress at this point. Nor would I blame Jesus coming up or some of the prophets and looking at the poor guy. Head slaps galore. Head slaps galore. This song, this thing I did, was from the movie, I think, South Pacific, back in 1958, if I'm not mistaken. Again, it gives me sick to my stomach every time I see it. Because I can also see Mandy McKenton singing about this one, but then wishes are children. Stephen Sondheim did this one. Children will listen. How do you say to your child at night, in the night, nothing's all black, but then nothing's all white? How do you say it will be all right when you don't know that it might not be true? What do you do? Careful the things you say. Children will listen. Careful the things you do. Children will see and learn. Children may not obey, but children will listen. Children will look to you for which way to turn. Co-learn what to be. Careful before you say, listen to me. Children will listen. Careful the wishes you make. Wishes are children. Careful the path they take. Wishes come true. Not free. Careful the spell you cast, not just on children. Sometimes the spell you may last past what you can see, and turn against you. Careful the tale you tell. That is the spell. Children will listen. Excuse me. How can you say to a children who's in flight, don't slip away, and I won't hold so tight? What can you say that no matter what slight won't be misunderstood? What do you leave to your children when you're dead? Only whatever you put in its head. Things that your mother and father had said, which were left to them too. Careful what you say, children will listen. Careful you do it too. Children will see and learn. Oh, guide them that step away. Children will glisten, temple with what is true. And children will turn, if just to be free. Careful before you say, listen to me. I heard Mandy Patinkin's voice singing this, and with the other hate thing. I'm still breathless, amazed. I'm in shock. I'm in awe. Now the talent of Mr. Patinkin. What he was trying to convey to us. But sometimes you gotta do longer videos. You gotta explain. And so those roads not taken thing, not just covering everything else that you're trying to shove on there, but you gotta pour it in depth, you gotta put heart and soul. Just suggestions, my friend. Just suggestions. And you too, Reverend. Some things like these. I have been attending college for nearly 10 years in my adulthood. 58 this year. I've learned a lot more things because a lot of the things popped up. And I had to put everything else into concepts and perspectives. To understand. To know. But knowledge base is just not it. You have to be entangled, enshrined, entrapped, ensnared, enchanted. You have to be looking at things with a different perspective. A worldly perspective instead of a singular focused. Then other times you gotta turn it back again. You have to focus back. What the priorities are. And what's needed for survival. But then look forward again. What needs to be looked at and seen. Sometimes I have to put things in a critical thinking perspective. When I'm writing essays in my classes, I have to tear things apart left and right and what matters the most and what needs to be said. I could put all the statistical data into it, but that's heart and soul that you still have to put in every damn paper. Not just cold-hearted facts, but humanity in itself. Even in the videos when I try to do them and talking to people about it, or just probably talking at myself for my own memories. But I have to put heart and soul into it because this matters a great deal to me. And it has to. It has to. Because if it's not mattering to me, then I don't know what the hell I'm doing these days. But all I know is I'm going to do the best I can for right now. So, with that said, another time.